Alright, so good day everyone. Magandang hapon po sa lahat. Ayan, so we will be discussing our um, second part of the second chapter of the consumer behavior. So this is consumer personality and perception. So let us define what is consumer personality. So the primary goal of consumer behavior or a consumer research is to better understand the demands of buyer and convert them into paying customers. As discussed in our consumer research, it is necessary to learn and know the buyer's personality in order to grasp his buying habits and priorities. Later on, we will be also try to relate sa ating mga sarili if we have these traits and behaviors. So personality refers to the inner psychological traits of a person that determines how he or she responds to his or her environment. Now, in our case, on how he or she respond in either buying or avoiding a product. So individual preferences for various products and brands are reflected in one's personality. So the level of willingness of a customer to buy a product, syempre, it depends on his unique personality or own personality. Marketers can use this information to determine when and how to promote a product. We must know or we must take into account, di ba, yung personality of the consumer so we can modify our strategies on how we sell our product. Kasi if you have a product, hindi lang naman natin binibenta yan basta-basta. Individual characteristics such as likes and dislikes can be used to categorize people's personalities. And we can also take in factor yung ating segments, yung customer segmenting. Dahil each segment have their own personalities. And it's easier to target that specific segment if we know their common personalities. Yan. So despite the fact that personality is static, it can alter the result of important events such as the death, birth, or marriage, as well as a result of the passage of time. So in the family life cycle, in each stage of the family life cycle is they have different personalities. Again, as a producer, as a business, let us try to identify the specific personalities so we can modify our marketing strategies. Identifying and connecting with individuals' personality qualities allows a marketer or an entrepreneur to develop marketing tactics more quickly and more efficiently. I hope you really understand why we do these extensive researches. Kasi in the real world, in a business, marketing requires investment of resources, but not only of time but also of people and of course money. And we have to do it the quickest way possible and syempre dapat effective and efficient. That's why we do these different researches. That's why we really need to understand yung mga characteristics and personality of our customers. So let us discuss yung trait theory. Ayan. So what is trait theory? Ayan. Let us define what is traits. Traits are characteristics of a person or an inclination of an individual to behave in a specific way. Consumers' characteristics aid in the definition of their behavior. Now, according to theorists, an individual's personality makeup is derived from the qualities that he or she possesses. And hence, the identification of traits is critical to understanding the personality makeup. Kayo ba? Do you have these traits? So we have the common traits that we have. Ayan. Are you outgoing? Ayan. Are you sad? I guess during the pandemic, di ba? Medyo tumaas yung mga people with medyo malungkot. Ayan. Are you stable or content? Are you a serious person? Mahirap lokohin, sabi nga nila. Do you have this trait na happy-go-lucky? Ayan, yung go with the flow, sabi nga nila. Are you relaxed? Self-assured? Are you practical? Or are you imaginative? Sa tingin nyo ba, ano yung common trait nyo dito? And if we are talking about these traits, hindi lang naman yan iisa. Hindi lang pwede na outgoing ka lang. Usually, it's a combination of traits. Maybe some of you, outgoing and at the same time, happy-go-lucky. Or meron dito yung serious, at the same time, practical. It could be more than two. Maybe some of you are stable, are relaxed, at the same time, self-assured. At ihalo pa natin yung practical. So it can be a combination of traits. And dito tayo nagiging unique. No? Kasi usually we have unique set of traits that makes our personality. Alright, so trait theory is a type of multi-personality theory. Ayan, yung sabi ko kanina. And it is characteristic of this type of thought. Trait theory is predicted on specific assumptions, such as the existence of qualities that are unquestionably stable in nature, and the existence of restricted number of traits that are shared by a majority of people. Going back dun sa ating market segmenting, diba? We segment different people according to their traits that they share with. Ayan, in that group of people, usually they have same personalities. They have same traits that they share. Okay? It really depends no dun sa social community kung saan sila lumaki. Usually we adopt, diba, the traits that na nakikita natin from our environment. Okay, according to Sigmund Freud, this is now the psychoanalytic theory. A number of assumptions underpin Sigmund's theory, the most important of which are the unconscious needs or drives. These are the foundation of human motivation and personality. When people are placed in a social setting, the socialization process that takes place has a significant impact on their individual behavior. Diba? If you are placed in a community, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, if you are placed in a community with the same traits, with the same personalities, usually when we socialize, diba, we absorb the same traits. Okay? That's why it has a significant impact on our unique. Hindi na tayo matatawag na unique kasi we have already adopted yung sa community impact in our individual behavior. Ayan. So according to Sigmund Freud, there are three components of human personality: the id, ego, and superego. So we will be discussing this one by one. Ayan. Basahin muna natin to before we proceed. Id, sabi dito is, I need to eat right this second kasi gutom na ako. Pagdating naman sa ego is, you can't do that because you're in the middle of an important meeting. Ayan. At doon naman sa superego is, eating during an important meeting is rude and inappropriate. So makikita nyo there is a level of how our intentions dun sa ating need. Tulad yung need dito is dun sa id. Okay, dun tayo sa id. Let's try to identify what is id. Now, according to Sigmund Freud, the id acts on the basis of the pleasure principle. Okay? So, id, we are just satisfying our pleasure the quickest time possible or the most immediate time possible, which places a strong emphasis on the immediate satisfaction of the desires. When it comes to personality, the id is a component made up of unconscious psychic energy that is responsible for satisfying fundamental wants, cravings, and desires. Okay? If you will try to remember yung concept na pinag-aralan natin in Maslow's theory of motivation, diba dun sa pinakababa is your physiological needs. If you want to satisfy it, yung mga needs natin yun, the quickest way possible, yung desires na yun, dun pumapasok yung id, yung human personality. Diba? That's why sometimes, siguro naririnig natin in the news, diba may mga taong nagnanakaw because they are hungry. By that action, that is already the id. Diba? We are only satisfying our desires. Ayan. How about the ego? The ego is that the condition of awareness in which you perceive yourself as distinct from the others. Diba? We are now considering our environment. It is constantly thinking about the accomplishments of the past and the hopes for the future. And it is preoccupied with guilt. Ego is ito. Emphasize natin. There is already the guilt. It is constantly thinking about what is what was and what may have been. So we now have the concept of what is right and what is wrong. Using our example earlier, di ba? Gutom ako, magnanakaw ako just to satisfy yung aking hunger. Pero pag darating si ego, di ba, human personality, we are now thinking, ang pagnanakaw ba is tama or ang pagnanakaw ba is mali? Di ba? There is now the sense of what is right and what is wrong. Papasok dun si guilt. Okay? How about superego? Ito naman, superego gives instructions for making decisions in various situations. It is the component of one's personality that contains all the moral norms, ayan, and ideals that one has acquired from one's parent, yung pinalaki tayo, or as the society at large. Again, let's use the example earlier. Gutom ako, ang option ko is magnakaw. That is id. Ego naman, I know what is right from wrong. Mali ang magnanakaw. What is superego? Okay? If I will do the act of stealing, ano yung maapektuhan? Okay? Baka yung nanakawan ko ng pera is kailangan din niya ng pera, pampagamot, siguro may anak siya na may sakit, etc. We are now trying to know then the effect dun sa ibang tao. At superego, yun yung nagsasabi sa atin na we should not do this thing because this is something that is wrong, morally incorrect. Yan. Okay? At saan natin natutunan yun, yung norms na yun? Again, it is from our family, it is from the society at large. That's why meron, di ba, tayong sinaset na laws. Di ba? Laws to follow. Di ba? Ayan. That is superego. So, to give you another example, ayan, siguro sa inyo, since we are already dito sa online class, this is the simplest example na pwede nating ibigay. Id, kunyari nag-online class kayo, tas boring magsalita si teacher. Ayan. Ano yung usually na ginagawa niyo? Di ba parang nakakaantok? Ayan. So, the teacher is boring. I want to sleep right now. Di ba? Ano yung desire niyo? The desire to sleep. That is id. Okay? Paano naman pupunta kay ego? You are sleepy, but you identify that the teacher is in the middle of an important lecture kasi lalabas yan sa exam. Diba? You have now the guilt. You know, you are now identifying what is the right thing to do, what is the wrong thing to do. That is ego. At kung pupunta naman tayo kay superego, ayan, sleeping in the middle of the class of an ongoing online class is very disrespectful, syempre, to the teacher. So you now do the action of not doing yung sleeping, sabi nga nila. Ayan. So, hindi ka na matutulog kasi that is very disrespectful. So, that is super ego. Now, if I may ask you, nasaan na kayo dito? Nandito ba kayo sa id? Na lagi kayong nag-giveaway na lang sa inyong desires? Ayan. Or, you can identify already what is right or wrong, or you are able to do the right thing already. Yan yung super ego natin. Okay? Alright. So we have another concept, no? Yung Neofriudian Theory. This is an evolution of the Sigmund Freud's theory. So what is Neofriudian Theory? In this theory, they differed from their contemporary, yung Sigmund Freud, who felt that personality was a biological phenomenon anchored in the heredity and groomed as a result of experiences during childhood, according to Sigmund Freud. Now, the Neo was the name given to this group of academics who placed a strong emphasis on the process of socialization during their studies. Socialization. Dahil our behavior nagde-depend rin or nag-change din yan depending on our social contacts. Now, these are extremely crucial in the development of personality. Okay. So, what are some of the non-Freudian personalities? We also have three. No? We have the complaint personalities. Now, they like love and affection. Okay, ito yung mga tao na asking for affection. No? And as a result, they gravitate towards them as well as towards well-known brands. No? Not only from human connection, but there are some personalities na nai-inlove din sa mga brands or nai-inlove sa mga products to the point that they have to use this product every day. No? they have to have this product. This is also a connection to a specific product. Complaint personalities. Clue, love. How about aggressive personalities? Now, they have a tendency to act in opposition to others and to demonstrate their desire for power, success, and other things, which may be highly manipulative. Okay? Again, if you have this type of personality, no, maybe lumaki ka sa isang culture na you want to be the always one who is right. Lagi ka dapat tama. And so you oppose others, and hopefully not, no, na sa inyo, if you have this personalities, sana hindi kayo manipulative. Okay? Yan, aggressive personality. And we have now the detached personalities. Now, they are less mindful of brand names. Usually, hindi sila masyadong choosy on what product to buy when it comes to brands. They are self-sufficient in their lives. Ayan. Okay? Ito yung medyo neutral ka na you are really satisfied on what you have. Na hindi ka masyado tumitingin on what a brand name can do to a product. Okay? Ayan. So, let's move on to consumer perception. Consumer perception. Ayan. So, let's define what is consumer perception. Refers to the process by which customer selects, organize, and interprets information, inputs to create a meaningful picture of the brand of the product. It is a three-stage process that translates raw stimuli into meaningful information. So ano ba yung tatlo na yan? There is an exposure to the product, attention, and interpretation. Ano ba yung tingin mo dun sa produkto na yan? Each individual interprets the meaning of stimulus in a manner consistent with her own unique biases, needs, and expectations. 3 stages. Again, it's the exposure, attention, and interpretation. Ayan. In simpler terms, it is how a customer sees a particular brand with whatever he or she has been able to understand by watching the products. Ayan. By looking at the product packaging, the promotions from medias, yung nakikita niyong commercials, and also the feedback from other customers. Especially if you do not have any experience about this product. Isang example na lang is, di ba, when we try to buy something in Shopee. Ayan. Let's say you need a gadget for online classes. Punta ka sa Shopee, and Shopee ang daming mga mura na gadgets you can use. If you do not have any experience about that product, ano yung perception mo about that product? It is again your understanding of what the product is. Ano yung una mong tinitingnan? Siyempre, you will see the product, the actual product, no? The promotions na nakikita mo sa Facebook or YouTube or even sa Shopee. And yung lagi natin tinitingnan is the feedback from other customers who have already bought that cellphone or product. Diba? Tinitingnan natin yung star rating. And the combination of these things, that is already our perception of what the product is. Ito yung tinatawag nating the image of the particular brand in the mind of the customer. Okay. So, consumer attitudes and changing attitudes. These are the composite of consumers' beliefs, feelings, and behavioral intentions toward a product. Within a context of marketing, usually towards a brand or towards a retail stores. Kayo ba may product brand ba kayo na favorite? I'm sure meron, no? Ayan. So, it is beliefs, feelings, behavioral intentions. So, let's start with the beliefs. Okay. The first component is beliefs. A consumer may hold both positive and negative towards an object. No, negative beliefs towards an object. In addition, some beliefs may be neutral and some may be differ in balance. This is balance depending on the persons or the situation. Isang example dito is the coffee. Now, what is your belief towards coffee? Diba? Some, they cannot live without coffee. Diba? They are drinking coffee 3 times a day, 5 times a day. Some, maybe ginagawa nilang tubig yung coffee For example, me, minsan na mas marami pa yung coffee ko kaysa sa water. So this person, ang belief niya is positive towards the product na coffee. There are some naman na negative ang belief nila sa coffee. Bakit? Sabi nila kasi coffee as an addictive, di ba? Yung ano ba yung addictive sa coffee? Caffeine. But it is very addictive. It is bad for your health. Some naman is nagpapalpitate, no, if they drink coffee or hindi kaya nung tiyan nila ang coffee. So they now have a negative belief towards that product. Some naman are very neutral. They mag-coffee sila or not, wala lang. Ayan. So they do not have a neither positive or negative belief towards the product. It's just another product, sabi nga nila. And some may differ depending on the situation. For example, malamig ang panahon, ano yung pinakamabilis na pwede natin gawin, pampainit ng tiyan? It's coffee. So these are different beliefs. Okay? Ayan. Note that the beliefs of consumers hold need to be accurate. And some beliefs may, upon closer examination, be contradictory. So, ang meaning nito is you believe on something, di ba, for a very long time. But upon research, nagre-research ka, there is a chance that you can change your belief kasi you are exposed to new information. Okay? Example na bibigay ko dito, I'm not being political, no, pero this is a very good example of this case kasi is, di ba, you have your siguro you have your parang meron na kayong napupusuan to become a president. Ayan. Pero as you can see, no, yung nakikita natin sa Facebook, dito natin nalalaman the background of these politicians, no, candidates. At sometimes, upon researches, nagbabago yung ating pananaw rin about this person. That's why we will change kung sino yung i-vote natin. So ito yung example nito. If you try to research, no, on things, nagbabago rin yung pananaw mo. There's a chance that your belief will also change. Maybe from pink, di ba, change ka sa red, or from red, mag-change ka sa pink, depending on the exposure na nabasa mo, on the information about that politician. Yan. So there's also a chance for change in beliefs. Okay. How about feelings? Consumer also hold certain feelings towards brands or other objects. Sometimes these feelings are based on beliefs, but they may also be feelings which are relatively independent of that beliefs. Isang maganda example dito is our feelings towards a brand. For example, ito, Korean brand. This is BTS. Either you are a very good fan or talagang hardcore fan ka of this boy band, or ikaw yung walang pakialam, or you really hate kasi masyadong sikat. Kasi di ba we have people like this na sa sobrang sikat nila is parang hate na nila. Ayan. So this is now feelings. A connection towards a brand or product. Ayan. Sino ba ang mga fans ng BTS dito? Okay? Ayun. Ayan. So you love that specific brand or product. So any more questions? How about behavioral intention? Now, behavioral intention is what the consumer plans to do with respect to that object. Now, it's either to buy or not to buy the brand, depending on the intention. As with effect, this is sometimes a logical consequence of beliefs, but may sometimes reflect on other circumstances. For example, ito, Starbucks. Ayan. Ikaw, ano ba ang iyong behavior or ano ba yung inyong perception about Starbucks? Maybe some of us is, hindi ako magsa-Starbucks kasi napakamahal. It's the same coffee naman, di ba? As compared to other products that can offer a lower price. That's why, as much as possible, I will try to avoid buying products from Starbucks. Impractical. Okay? Pero in some cases, for example, if you have group of friends na nakita mo, siguro last na nagkita kayo is 10 years ago at nagkayayaan at gusto nilang uminom sa Starbucks, diba? Your intention is to be with this group of people. So even if pupunta kayo sa Starbucks is okay lang. So you see there is now a change in behavior. Okay? It depends on the situation. It depends on the circumstance. So maybe with this group of friends na gusto mong makipagkwentuhan after 10 years, okay lang sa'yo na bumili or tumambay sa Starbucks. That is now behavioral intention. Your intention in buying a product. Okay? Ayan. So that is our part 2 of the chapter 2 on consumer behavior. So again, no, read natin yung instructions natin sa Google Classroom. So thank you for watching and I will see you on the next chapter.